Today we're going to talk about why do we value stories. There's a lot of talk about stories among photographers in general. I don't know if a lot of couples are seeking for stories either, but yeah, definitely among photographers, definitely we are valuing the stories more often now than ever, I feel like. My name is Eugene Kim. I am a Las Vegas-based photographer, wedding and slash elopement photographer, traveling the world, which is always good, but yeah. I feel like I'm rambling on now. But one thing about stories for me is that these days in the year 2025, I feel like, honestly, I think any photographers can really make pretty photos.
Yeah.
And I always feel like photos shouldn't be just the visual side of things. It should be emotional side of things. And I think that's where the story comes in. Where a lot of photographers talk about the stories in general, I don't know if they would have a similar opinion to me. But today I thought we'll dive deep in about the stories and why you, as a couple, should value the stories as well. So yeah. Should we start with some questions?
Yeah, definitely. So, when you're saying many photographers are saying storytelling is important, like what actually is story for you and kind of how are you capturing that?
Good question. I feel like, I don't know. I think I'm definitely someone who believes that every individual are very unique. For example, Lyssa, I know you're very close with your sister. I am very close with my younger brother too. He's 2 years younger than me. We live in different time zones, but we talk on a daily basis. We text each other on a daily basis. Him and I growing up in a similar environments under the similar sort of parental principles and guidance. Him and I are very different, even from the looks, from our things that we like. We're just very different people. And if we go a little bit further than that, as like everyone in this world and everyone like you and I and Lizzie, Lyssa, we are all we're from different country, had a different upbringing. We live in a different area, and all these experiences going to shape us into different person. It's almost impossible to have similar. There might be a similar view on one thing, but we're probably not going to share similar idea on everything that we talk about. When those two individuals meet and become a couple, that story, that love story is very unique. Every couple's, even though they feel like they have a similar vibe, they're going to be different. They're going to have some quirky side of that couple thing, which makes them beautiful and most brilliant thing in the world. And it's not something, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but I feel that is what makes the couple that couple.
Yeah.
And there's no other way to describe that couple other than that story.
Beautiful. So how are you telling that story?
I feel like usually on the wedding day, I like to capture all the little details that is very meaningful to the couple. That could be, that could be just a table decoration they decided to put out, or they DIY the backdrop of, or the altar that they created themselves, or it could be anything. It could be the very simple thing. It doesn't have to be the prettier things, but there are a lot of things that means a lot to that couple. So I try to capture that as much as possible. I try to have more time with just a couple themselves, so that I see and I witness the quirky side of that couple, or something that makes them different. And I feel like a lot of couples don't do that unless they're completely comfortable by their surroundings. If they're with a lot of the guests, I feel like they don't really bring that out as much, especially if they're more on the shy side or a little bit more introverted side. I feel like they don't show that as much. So having more time with just a couple, that could be through the first look. I always say first look, even if they're not seeing the dress for the very first time, I definitely recommend them to do it, because the first look time is the one time that couples can talk to each other before they become husband and wife, or husband and husband, or wife and wife. No setting boundaries here, I guess. Anything's open. But yeah, when it's just you two, it's the last time that you'll be alone together before the wedding, before the marriage. And that's when you can really talk about just little things, what you to most look forward to of that day, or how they're feeling. Just checking into each other. All these little things makes it I think the wedding day more special and beautiful.
Oh, yeah. Do you feel like it's really beneficial to do the engagement session so that you can learn more about them prior to like tell their story? Or like, do you ever tie that in to wedding day?
Yeah, so I always recommend doing an engagement session, but as someone who do a lot of destination weddings, engagement session is not so easy. One thing that I think that engagement session is very beneficial is that once they're more relaxed about me with my presence, depending on how comfortable they are in front of cameras, and probably you, Lisa, you probably know 9 out of 10 couples will tell you that they're awkward in front of camera.
Yes.
And and so just to be honest, like most couples are not. At least I don't know. I'm doing a good job. A lot of couples don't feel that awkward in front of me. Maybe I make a fool of myself a little bit too quickly so that they feel okay about themselves. But oftentimes I feel like when couples feel a little bit more welcoming and a little bit more comfort with the photographer and with them being in front of the camera, I feel like they open up a little bit more. They build that trust a little bit more. And I think another great thing about having an engagement session or any consultation calls is that way I find out about all the little details that they are doing for their wedding day. All the DIY, anything that means a lot to them, any family history that means a lot to them. All those little things make up the full story of the couple.
Oh, yeah. It really showcases through your work too. I love seeing like just the variety of like personality that you get with your couples. And so like because you do so much destination stuff, I was wondering like for like wedding day, like if you're not doing the engagement session, like how like what are those touch points where you're getting these people comfortable? Because so many people say they are awkward and so first experience on their wedding day having a full, documented kind of production.
Yeah, I think it just comes down to talking to couples a lot about something that is not related to wedding.
I love that.
Yeah, no, I honestly I think it does. I feel like talking to them about their recent. I think oftentimes just because I love travel and that's one of the reasons I do a lot of destination weddings. I think a lot of couples do relate to travel side of things.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons. One of the questionnaires ask is why. What was the most recent trip that the couple took? It could be literally anything. It could be to international countries, or it could be in Seattle, if it's in Seattle, just to Mount Rainier, or even local than that. Like on the weekend you just went to a coffee shop and just spent 3 hours together. Why did you love so much about that? Why, what was okay about that? What was good about that? Just asking about a lot of these things and being able to relate to that couple makes them feel like that we're all similar in a way. Like in the beginning I said we're very different to each other, but in a society we are at the same time very similar in terms of we are very social animal where we like to do a lot of things that are similar to us or to other people, to make friends and to do different things. So yeah, I think being able to connect on a different level than other than photography and other than weddings, usually I feel like it does a good job, especially with the guys.
Oh, definitely. And I feel like it's telling more of their story when you're doing that too, because like, yes, it is their love story and their wedding day, but I think, like the more you find out about them, the more you like can catch on those details. Like I had one couple who had like little pins that they made of their cat that were like tiny on each placemat. And I was like so excited to talk about their cat with them. Totally unrelated, but like we weren't awkward at all because we were just talking about cats.
No, I mean, but that's not unrelated, because that's the icebreaker. That's the point of contact. That's the point of where you get really close to them. Being able to find something that's relatable to you. It's, I think, what makes us human and makes us conversational and what makes next story to come out.
I love that. What are some of like your favorite storytelling elements for like either engagements or wedding day that like help you showcase that? Like I know you're kind of getting to know them, but like what are some of your favorite things to capture?
I don't think I've ever said this out loud. One thing that I love taking pictures of is their hands movement, because if you ask a lot of photographers apparently don't realize this, but when you ask couples to hold hands, no one holds hands in the same way, and everyone has their own unique way of own little twist to holding hands. And just holding hands, that's I think that's one of the reasons that I always like to capture them holding hands, walking away, but just taking pictures of just the hands with their movement. It kind of holding hands make them very comfortable, meaning that hand holding is not awkward. It's very natural. So when I'm asking couples to look at each other and asking bride to have hands on the groom's chest or any of that area, where that hand goes and then how the hand is positioned usually tells different vibe of that couple and the different feelings around them. So that's why even in the photo, technically, it doesn't feel amazing. I don't try to change that too much because that's very them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I love to see how couples like naturally interact together. You kind of have to like pull it out of them once you have a camera, but like if you're like chatting and your camera's down, you can kind of see their body language with them. Like it's so cool to like see that in photographs, like the little micro, like it might be a similar pose, but the way they connect is so different. One of my favorite things for wedding days is to see like people kind of hug to the same side and it's so funny.
Yes.
So when I wait for like if they're doing like a greeting line or everyone's like celebrating and they're hugging, I kind of just hang out on one side and I get, kind of the guest reaction. It's so funny. If someone hugs to the other side, it's different because almost everybody will hug on the same side.
Yeah, I feel like if we all the wedding photographers did some kind of study on psychology or of that sort, I think it would make it a lot more fun. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of body movement, a lot of hand gestures, a lot of different things that kind of signals sort of like couple dynamics and different ways. This is something I'm still in the process of checking. And all the couples, if you're listening to this or if you're reading this, and do let me know if this is true to you guys as well. But I've heard this. When a photographer asks couples to kiss, anyone who is a little bit more dominant in that couple relationship have their nose blocking the camera. Apparently this is true. And the reason this is true is that because not everyone will be on the same size. You don't always kiss, like for example, the girls are not always kissing from the left side. They can switch, but they don't know it, but they would always cover the nose onto the camera side. Don't know how, don't know why, but apparently that's what they do.
I'm gonna have to watch for that.
Exactly.
On my next photo session. The one thing I get is that when I say like nose to nose, some people will get really, really close and it's not a natural thing. So it's so funny that they do that for the camera. But yeah, it's so fun for like storytelling because like you're not only doing like the details and like, the beautiful photos that kind of reflect what you've gotten to know about them, but then also like the little micro connections that they have. Like it's great that you mentioned hands because I feel like some people forget to hold hands during the ceremony if they aren't told.
Yeah. I mean, but I like, not holding hands could be part of the story too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, every wedding is so different. And I love the start to end to get kind of the full story of the day. It's so beautiful.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. But yeah.
I asked a lot of questions. Lizzie, do you have any storytelling questions?
So let's say you got all the good photos of couples, and how do you convey each couple's unique story when you're posting on social media?
I think social media is a little bit different. Social media, I think I try to go more for the looks.
Yeah.
But for example, when I'm designing a wedding album, for example, and if the couple give me permission to choose whatever that I want, honestly, it's amazing. But 90% of the couples, they do let me choose whatever the photos that I want.
What? Wow.
Yeah. So then I would choose what feels right to me. This is obviously very vague way of deciding on photos for the wedding album. But I feel like because I felt that moment when I was taking that picture, there was that energy of the couple in that moment in time. And whether I remember that or whether I feel that again when I'm looking through those photos again, whatever that feels right. And when I put them all in the order in the wedding album, makes the story complete. And I think that's I think that's the beautiful side of what we do. But yeah, for social media, I feel like I try to lean more towards the what could stop people stop scrolling and look at my photos. Yeah, attention grabber. But yeah, I do try to put in a little bit more cute photos that's hopefully makes people to think a little bit about it. Maybe, like I said, about the hand photos. Sometimes I put them in. How much that people like them and how much people pay attention to them, no way for me to know, because the analytics doesn't tell me in that much of a detail. But yes, to answer your question to some degree, but yeah, not a whole lot for the social media.
Awesome. I think that's all the questions that I had here, but if Lizzie has any more.
I don't.
Okay.
Cool.
Perfect.
No,
Yeah.
I honestly, I hope I was able to answer all the questions about the stories. I feel like it's one of those things. I feel like when there's no like mathematical equation tied into a question, or there's no definite answer, and the story is definitely one of those things. Every individual who tells about what the story is going to be different. My view of stories is what this is, and anyone who relates to what I said definitely should reach out, and I'll be honored to listen to your story and definitely look forward to working with you guys. But yes, and this should be the end of the podcast.
Yeah, I think we could do a whole another thing on different storytelling aspects. But yeah, I feel like, you answered all the questions, and I can't wait to see all the stories you capture.
Cool. Thank you.
Yay.